Real English Lounge.
The art of everyday English.
Welcome back to Real English Lounge, your real place to learn English through honest conversations.
I'm Ethan.
And I'm Claire, and today we're talking about the weekend recap, specifically why nothing special is the answer that ends every conversation, and what to say instead.
I say nothing special so often that I'm pretty sure my coworkers think I have the most boring life in the building.
Same, and most of the time it's not even true. I just don't have the words ready.
That's exactly what we're fixing today. Real vocabulary for describing your weekend, even the boring parts, in a way that actually keeps a conversation going.
Subscribe on YouTube if this podcast is helping your English.
Comment challenge. Tell us one real thing you did last weekend. Not nothing special, something actual, in English, in the comments.
Level check, B1 to B2. Today's about small talk, the easiest conversations to have, and somehow the ones learners struggle with most.
Word tour today: mundane, unwind, recharge, spontaneous, productive, and uneventful. 6 words for the conversation about what you actually did this weekend. There's also a version of this question that comes before the weekend. Any plans this weekend? And it needs the exact same fix.
Right, not really kills that one too. The same way nothing special kills the recap.
Not much. Probably just gonna relax. Already sounds better, because probably and relax give it some shape.
And if you actually do have plans, naming just one is usually enough. Just grabbing dinner with a friend Saturday is a complete natural answer.
So really, we're talking about 2 mirrored questions. One about the future, one about the past, and the same principle fixes both.
There's also something worth naming about Monday specifically. How was your weekend? Is often less a real question and more a ritual. A way of opening a conversation.
Which is exactly why nothing special feels safe to say. The asker isn't always expecting a detailed answer.
True, but ritual questions still deserve a real, if brief, answer. The ritual works better when both people actually participate in it.
Think of it like a greeting. How are you? Isn't always a deep question either. But fine, thanks, still works better than silence.
Exactly the same principle. A small, real answer honors the ritual. Silence, or nothing special, just closes it.
Let's start with the actual problem. Why does everyone say nothing special?
A few reasons, honestly. Sometimes the weekend genuinely felt uneventful. Sometimes people don't want to overshare with a coworker. And sometimes, I think this is the biggest one, people just don't have the vocabulary ready in the moment.
Right. In your first language, you'd never think twice about describing your Saturday. In English, there's a tiny delay, and nothing special fills that gap.
The problem is, nothing special ends the conversation. It doesn't invite a follow-up question. It doesn't give the other person anything to respond to.
Whereas literally anything specific, even something small, keeps it going.
Let's compare. How was your weekend? Nothing special. Conversation dead.
Versus pretty low key, actually. I finally repainted my bedroom. Same energy level, but now there's something to talk about.
Exactly. You can still say your weekend was quiet or boring. You just need to attach one specific detail to it.
Let's build a toolkit for this. First, time markers. Native speakers rarely say, on Saturday I did this, and on Sunday I did that, in a flat list.
Right. It usually flows more naturally. Friday night, I just crashed, but Saturday I actually got out and did something.
Crashed is a great one. It means you were so tired, you basically collapsed into rest, often right after work.
I crashed on the couch by 8 is completely normal. Very relatable English.
Let's talk about verbs for common weekend activities, because a lot of learners default to very plain verbs. I watched, I cleaned, I relaxed, when there are much more specific, natural options.
Instead of I watched a lot of TV, try I binge-watched a whole season, which tells people exactly how, not just that you watched something.
Instead of I cleaned my apartment, I finally tackled my apartment implies it needed real effort, which is usually the actual truth.
Instead of I did chores, I ran errands, which specifically means small tasks outside the house. Groceries, the bank, the pharmacy.
And instead of I did nothing, I unwound or I recharged, both of which frame doing nothing as something you chose, not something that just happened to you.
That reframe matters more than people realize. I did nothing sounds passive, almost apologetic. I unwound sounds intentional.
Let's talk about catch up on, specifically, because it's one of the most useful phrasal verbs for this exact topic.
Catch up on means to do something you've been behind on. Sleep, laundry, a TV show, emails.
I finally caught up on sleep, or I caught up on some shows I'd been meaning to watch. Both instantly understandable, and both sound completely natural.
It's also a great answer for nothing special weekends because catching up on something implies you had a real, specific reason for resting.
Let's talk about adding a small narrative beat, because that's really what separates a forgettable answer from a memorable one.
Even boring tasks get more interesting with one added detail. I did laundry is nothing. I finally caught up on laundry I'd been avoiding for 2 weeks is a tiny story.
The task didn't change, the framing did. And framing is basically the entire skill in small talk.
Let's talk about the classic small talk questions themselves, because the phrasing varies more than people expect.
How was your weekend? Is the most neutral and works with literally anyone.
Anything fun or do anything exciting are more casual, usually between people who already know each other a bit.
And answering anything exciting with not really is fine, as long as you follow it with something. Not really, just caught up on some errands, but it was nice to have a slow one.
See how not really doesn't kill the conversation there because it's immediately followed by something real.
Let's talk about the opposite problem too. The person who way overshares in response to simple small talk.
We all know that person. How was your weekend? Turns into a 15-minute story about a family conflict.
Small talk has an unspoken length limit. 1 or 2 sentences is usually the sweet spot, unless the other person clearly wants more.
If you want to check, you can always end with a question back. Pretty quiet, mostly just recharged. How about you? Which passes the conversation along naturally.
That's actually the most important habit in all of small talk. Answer briefly, then hand the question back. Once someone actually gives you a real detail, there's a skill in following up well too, not just starting well.
Right. If someone says, I finally repainted my bedroom, the flat response is cool. The better one asks something specific.
What color did you go with? Or how long did that take you? Small, easy questions that show you were actually listening.
Which matters because good small talk is really a back and forth handoff, not two people taking turns talking at each other.
So the skill isn't just answering well, it's also asking a real follow-up when someone gives you something to work with.
Let's talk about spontaneous plans too, because that's a specific, positive kind of weekend story people love hearing.
Spontaneous means unplanned, done suddenly without much preparation. We ended up going on a spontaneous road trip. Sounds exciting precisely because it wasn't planned.
Even a small spontaneous decision makes a good weekend story. We just spontaneously decided to try that new restaurant is a complete interesting sentence.
Whereas planned things can still be described well too. Productive is the word for a weekend where you actually got things done.
I had a surprisingly productive weekend. Signals that you didn't expect to get much done, but did, which is its own small, satisfying story.
Let's do a final round, turning 3 boring weekends into real answers.
One more small trick before we do. If you genuinely can't think of anything, ask yourself what you'd tell a close friend, then simplify that slightly for a coworker.
Because you probably do remember something, even if it's small, you just filtered it out automatically as not worth mentioning.
Weekend 1. Literally just slept and watched TV. Honestly, pretty uneventful. I mostly just caught up on sleep and binge-watched a show I'd been meaning to start.
Weekend 2. Did chores the whole time. Not exciting, but weirdly productive. I finally tackled my whole apartment and ran every errand I'd been putting off.
Weekend 3. Actually did nothing on purpose. I intentionally kept it quiet, just unwound, no plans, which honestly felt great after last week.
None of those are exciting stories. All of them are better than nothing special.
That's genuinely the whole lesson. Time for the word tour. 6 words from today's conversation. Let's start with a word for something ordinary, unremarkable, part of everyday routine.
Mundane.
Mundane means ordinary, everyday, and lacking excitement. Not negative exactly, just routine. Grocery shopping is mundane. So is most of Monday.
You can say the task was mundane, but oddly satisfying once it was finally done. Or even a mundane weekend can make a decent story with the right details.
Mundane is like beige paint. Not ugly, just completely unremarkable and easy to overlook entirely.
Let's repeat it. Mundane.
Mundane.
Our next word describes relaxing after stress or effort.
Unwind.
To unwind means to relax and release tension, usually after a stressful period. Unwinding is active rest. You're choosing to slow down, not just collapsing.
You can say, I spent Sunday unwinding with a book and absolutely no plans. Or, it takes takes me about a day to properly unwind after a busy week.
Unwinding is like slowly loosening a tightly wound clock spring. Nothing dramatic, just gradual release.
Let's repeat it. Unwind.
Unwind.
This next word describes restoring your energy.
Recharge.
Recharge means to restore your energy, usually mentally or physically, like a battery. A recharge weekend is specifically about restoring what the week used up.
You can say, I really needed this weekend to recharge before another busy week starts. Or some people recharge alone. Others recharge by being around friends.
Recharging is like plugging your phone in overnight. You wake up with something you didn't have the night before.
Let's repeat it. Recharge.
Recharge.
Our next word describes something done suddenly, without planning.
Spontaneous.
Spontaneous means happening suddenly, without much planning or preparation. A spontaneous weekend often becomes the most memorable one, precisely because nothing about it was scheduled.
You can say the trip was completely spontaneous. We decided Friday night and left Saturday morning. Or she's the spontaneous one in our friend group, always suggesting something last minute.
Spontaneous is like a sudden summer rain shower. You didn't plan for it, but it changes the whole day anyway.
Let's repeat it. Spontaneous.
Spontaneous.
This next word describes actually getting things done.
Productive.
Productive means effectively accomplishing tasks, getting real results from your time and effort. A productive weekend usually means chores, projects, or errands actually got finished.
You can say, I had a surprisingly productive Saturday. I finished 3 things I'd been avoiding for weeks. Or productive doesn't have to mean busy, just effective.
Productive is like a full basket after a good harvest. The effort clearly produced something you can actually point to.
Let's repeat it. Productive.
Productive.
Our last word describes a weekend where nothing much happened.
Uneventful.
Uneventful means without anything notable happening. Quiet, unremarkable, but not necessarily negative. An uneventful weekend can still be a genuinely good one.
You can say it was a pretty uneventful weekend, honestly, but exactly what I needed after last week. Or uneventful flights are the best kind of flights.
Uneventful is like a calm sea. Nothing happening isn't the same as nothing good happening.
Let's repeat it. Uneventful.
Uneventful.
That's the word tour. Mundane, unwind, recharge, spontaneous, productive, uneventful.
6 words for the conversation about what you actually did this weekend, even when it wasn't much. Let's close this one out. Next time someone asks about your weekend,
Don't say nothing special. Say what actually happened, even if it's small.
uneventful is a fine answer. Boring is a fine answer. Just attach one real detail to it.
So tell us in the comments, what did you actually do last weekend? One real sentence in English.
Subscribe, give it a like, share it with someone who always says nothing special and clearly did something.
You know exactly who that is.
This is Ethan,
And this is Claire.
and you've been listening to Real English Lounge.
And we'll find your words. See you next time.
Your English journey doesn't end here.
Keep listening, keep learning, and keep speaking.
Choose your next conversation.
We'll see you in the next episode of Real English Lounge.